Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsay's Little Library. So I'm here today with my, what month was it? May. My May wrap up. I read all of we're gonna count it 5 books, because I'm really close to the end of the 5th one. I got stuck in one and it just went a little slow. As well as we call the month of May is mayhem, because it is end of school stuff, final concerts, final presentations. We have soccer going on. We have, what else was going on? Just a lot. May is just a lot. There's so much. So that also kind of explains why I didn't read quite as much, but I don't care because I don't. Anyways, so let's talk about the ones that I did read. I picked up Meaney for a 5-star prediction video, so I'm not going to tell you what I rated it. It's by MJ Arledge. It's the first in a series that follows Detective Inspector Helen Grace. And so you get a little bit of a look into her life, and you don't get all your answers right away as to you don't have her whole backstory. So it definitely leaves you wanting to learn more about her. But basically what this does is it follows a serial killer who is abducting people. They abduct 2 people at one time, and those 2 people know each other. And they are put in a location they cannot escape from, and they are left with a gun with 1 bullet, and basically are told whoever survives gets to be released. And so once the other person is gone, the survivor is released and let go. And so this continues through a few people. Again, serial killers, there's more than one. So it's really interesting. I was hoping a little more creepy than it was. I mean, it definitely was creepy, but I guess I was hoping a little bit more, which kind of sounds weird, but all in all, I really enjoyed it. And I definitely will keep my eye out for book 2 because I want to know more about Helen because she's a little messed up. I need to know more. So anyways, good book, good book. Won't tell you my star rating. You'll have to wait for that. Next one I picked up is Violent Ends. This is by 13 different authors. They're all on the back, and they each wrote a separate chapter in a continuous story about a school shooting. I don't know if I want to say relieved or I don't know. I read this prior to what happened in Texas, and I'm thankful I wasn't in the middle of it when I was reading that. I've read a number of school shooting books. I enjoy them because it kind of just makes me face that is something that is a possibility. We have conversations with our kids all of the time about what is happening, and anyways, it was interesting that I picked this up this month and read this prior to. I enjoyed this book because it is told by so many different perspectives and different authors. Not every chapter was a favorite. There were definitely top ones. There were ones that were shocking. There were ones that were thought-provoking. And there were ones that were forgettable. All in all, again, really enjoyed it. Some of the authors, we have Sean David Hutchinson, Neil Schusterman, what are some other ones I know? Christine Johnson, Mandy Scott, Kendra Blake. It's a really good collection of authors. And like I said, it was good. Actually, I did say 13 authors, but there's 17 points of view. Something like that. Multiple points of view. So enjoyed it. This was a Christmas book exchange book from Sarah. I want to say I don't think it was the first year we did it, maybe the second year, but I'm glad. So I got this off my Christmas book exchange list. It was also one of my very upper left hand side corner books. So got that read and done. So, all right, moving on. Okay, next up I have the book that just took some time. It was a slow mover. So it's The Betrayal of Anne Frank. It's a cold case investigation. It's by Rosemary Sullivan. It is about this team of people who in, gosh, what year? 2017? I can't remember what year. But they decided to basically look into the story of Anne Frank and try to determine who betrayed Anne Frank and who let the Nazis know where their hiding place was, and they of course then got arrested and sent to concentration camp, and only her father survived. So really interesting book. if you are at all interested in this time period, if you are at all interested in the Anne Frank story, I do suggest this book. There are parts that are a little slow, fair warning. It is a nonfiction, fair warning, but there are plenty of parts that read like a fictional book. There are times I had to remind myself that this is so real. I really appreciated the approach that these investigators took, and they really left no stone uncovered. They left no theory unchecked. There were definitely some theories that they couldn't prove one way or the other, so they did have to rely on probability, but what they went through to kind of whittle it down to who it possibly could be was so interesting. So interesting. And it gives me just a whole new appreciation for what the Frank family went through, how many people were involved in trying to help them. It's so interesting. So I do recommend it. I want to say I gave it, gosh, I'm still struggling. I want to say 4 stars. But like when I compare to other 4-star books, I don't know, maybe it's slightly below 4 stars, like 3.95 or something like that. I don't know. I still really liked it. I don't know if audio would have made a difference or not, but it wasn't something I could just speed through. I had to take my time with it. I read this for book club for work, and oh my gosh, we had such good discussions on the theories and then the rabbit hole I went down as far as there's controversy around the book as far as whether it should have been published or not, or it's just a very interesting situation. So did really like it. I do suggest it. Just know that it's a little slow. There's your fair warning. Once I was done with that, I was ready to like just dive into a fast-paced book and just, it wasn't like a reading slump, but it was just like, all right, I want to get back to my normal pace, please. So I picked up The Overnight Guest by Heather Gutenkopf, and man alive, did this deliver. I think I read this in like 3 days, 2 days, 3 days. I don't know what it was, but it was fast. So we have our true crime writer. Her name is Wiley Lark. She is snowed in an isolated farmhouse where she has kind of retreated to write her next book. Cozy fireplace, complete silence. She has her dog there. All is good. Could be perfect. If not for the fact that decades earlier, in that very house, 2 people were murdered in cold blood and a girl disappeared without a trace. And so that's what she's writing about. She went back to literally the scene of the crime. As the storm continues to rage on, she finds herself trapped inside the house, haunted by secrets contained within the walls and haunted by secrets of her own. So she's got to kind of face her past during this very isolating snowstorm. In the midst of this, she lets the dog out and the dog doesn't come back in. So she goes to investigate and she finds a small child in the snow, just about frozen to death. I mean, it's cold, it's windy, and this child has come out of nowhere. Again, she's very isolated. She brings the kid inside for warmth and safety and starts to try to figure out, like, where did you come from? What is going on? And soon it becomes clear that the farmhouse is not as isolated as she thought it was, and someone is willing to do anything to find them. And it was so good. It was so good. Oh, Heather Gutenkopf is a fantastic author. I love her books. I feel like she's kind of not, like more people need to read books by her. Pick this up, please. It's fantastic. So read that one. And I also am like 45 minutes away from finishing Book Lovers by Emily Henry on audio. 5 glowing stars. I mean, something drastic would need to really happen in this last little bit of the book to make me disappointed enough to drop my star rating, which I'll let you know if it is. But I mean, it is so good. It is so good. There's so many bookish like references in here, so many good bookish quotes in here. We have our main character, her and her sister are kind of taking a getaway right before her sister has a baby. And they decide to go to this little town that is like the center of a book that they both love. So the main character is an agent for an author, and it's kind of her books, where her books are set. And the sister comes up with a list of things that they need to complete before the end of I think they're there for like a month. And it's so good. And there ends up being another character there, and there's some witty, sarcastic back and forth. And it's just, I am just so loving this book. So I'm hoping to finish that today. Actually, I have some book sleeves to sew up, so I thought I'd put that on and listen to it while I finish those up. So I'm listening to that one, almost done. We're going to count it done. Works for me. And then, oh, what else am I into? I was really hoping to get this book done by the end of Memorial Day weekend. It just didn't happen. I lost time somehow. Well, we were just busy. But I'm halfway through Hostage by Claire McIntosh. And so basically the premise of this is you could save hundreds of lives or you could save the one that matters most. And so this flight attendant stewardess is put in a really interesting predicament of helping someone take over the plane to save her daughter's life. If she doesn't help someone take over the plane, her daughter's life is in jeopardy. In true Claire McIntosh fashion, I don't know what is going to happen. The one thing I really, really like about this is we have multiple perspectives. We have the wife who's on the plane, we have the husband, and then we get passenger perspectives thrown in. So the chapter I'm on is from the perspective of passenger 1G. And so you have these little short excerpts of the passengers that are on this flight. And I think that's really, really interesting and a really interesting perspective to kind of add to the story. So I'm in the middle of that one. Next one I have to pick up for book club at work is Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. It's basically her memoir growing up as an Asian American. So her family's from Korea. Lots of food talk is what I've heard so far. So to read that for book club. And then, I don't know, I have kind of my list of books over here. I think Amy and I are going to do a buddy read of Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James in June. I think those are kind of my only plans, loosey-goosey plans. But you know me, I'll see what I pick up next. Who knows? Who knows? So those are the books that I read in May and the books that are coming up, and we'll see where it goes from here. So let me know if you also have a May that is mayhem, or if it's just me. I'm sure it's not just me. And any other books that you've read in the month that you think I would enjoy, leave them in a comment below. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.